Welcome back to Royal Divine. Jordan Peterson claims Meghan Markle is faux compassionate after podcast swipe. Before we continue, I encourage you to hit the notification bell. Jordan Peterson hit again at Meghan Markle after she used a soundbite of him in an episode of her podcast. The Canadian scientific psychologist and cultural commentator advised viewers why the Duchess grates on him. Meghan Markle's voice drips with falsehood, in accordance to psychologist Jordan Peterson, who has been interviewed after performing in a soundbite throughout her podcast. Dr. Peterson's voice seemed in an episode discussing the use of labels such as crazy, hysterical, or nuts in reference to women. After introducing the topic, the Duchess, 41, switches to a clip of Dr. Peterson, 60, saying, "I do not suppose that guys can manipulate loopy women." The Canadian was once requested about this throughout an interview with Piers Morgan Uncensored on Talk TV. In response to being worried in the episode of Archetypes on Spotify, which Morgan describes as enjoying a villain role, Dr. Peterson shared his opinion of Meghan. He said, "Her voice drips with the equal falsehood that the voice of Kamala Harris drips with. It's this sanctimonious, fake compassionate, speaking down to her audience." He then drew laughs from Piers Morgan imitating the Duchess, his very own voice high-pitched in tone. The October episode of Meghan's podcast targeted on the crazy label going through women. The Duchess of Sussex says it is used to minimize women's problems. Of the podcast, he said, "Trying to be positive that we're all sincerely on the identical compassionate web page right here. And we're all being victimized with the aid of horrible forces that are arrayed towards us. And none of it really is certainly fair. It simply grates on me," Peterson delivered in his ordinary voice. He then went on to say, "And I do consider that it is the case that it's very challenging to manage woman antisocial behavior regularly of the kind it truly is been pilloried as hysterical. And I suppose that there is no scarcity of scientific proof to assist exactly that claim." During the podcast, Meghan said, "Raise your hand if you've ever been referred to as loopy or hysterical, or what about nuts? Insane, out of your mind, absolutely irrational. Okay, you get the point." She added, "Calling any person loopy or hysterical totally dismisses their right and minimizes what they're feeling. It continues going to the point the place anybody who's been labeled at sufficient instances can be gaslit into wondering that they're absolutely ill, or once in a while worse, to the factor the place actual problems of all sorts get ignored. Well, that's now not going on today." However, Dr. Peterson stated he stood with the aid of his words, claiming that it was once difficult for ladies to manipulate behavior which is viewed as antisocial. He added, "It's very challenging for girls to manipulate lady antisocial behavior, and ladies who are delinquent that female sample is popularity salvaging underneath the guise of compassionate care, and it's especially adverse. So I stand via my words. Archetypes ambitions to explore and subvert labels which strive to maintain female back, in accordance to Spotify's description of the podcast. It premiered in August and topped Spotify's charts in English-speaking international locations inclusive of the US and the UK. The podcast has been the difficulty of an awful lot controversy, as has the Sussex's Netflix deal suggested to be well worth an incredible $100 million. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped down as working royals in 2020. They now stay in Montecito, California with their two children, Archie, 3, and Lilibet, 1. Thanks for watching till the